talk about the PBA greats through the years, it's hard not to bring up the original showman, Carmen Salvino.
He looks good. He looks good. A four-bagger, the first of the day.
A charter member of the PBA, he captured 17 tour titles, and today we honor the living legend at the CLR Carmen Salvino Scorpion Championship.
I really had the juice on that ball. You see that gyro coming up?
This week, the Lumber Liquidators PBA Tour is just north of downtown Chicago, and we welcome you inside the Brunswick Zone Hawthorn here in Vernon Hills, Illinois for the CLR Carmen Salvino Scorpion Championship. This season's 6th stop on the tour is named in honor living legend and Chicago native Carmen Salvino. Carmen here today and showed they still got it, Randy. Rolled out the first ball today. You knew this would be nothing but a strike. And don't cheat me on the reacts, Carmen.
It's all about the reacts. Very sexy, Carmen.
Carmen will join us live a little bit later in the broadcast. I'm glad you're spending part of your Sunday with us. Rob Stone, Randy Peterson with you. And we kick off our telecast with the comeback story of Jason Couch. This year, he was voted the 24th greatest bowler in PBA history. But this is a guy who's coming back off of an entire year missed due to knee injuries.
He had a knee injury in the summer of '07, and in July he goes in for knee surgery. And what was supposed to be a 4 to 6 week rehab stint, well, Rob, it turned into 9 months. He says he's still not 100% and that he's got to learn how to bowl out here on a week-to-week basis in pain.
Couch, the lone lefty on today's telecast. He'll be taking on Brad Angelo in our first match of the day.
And just a few weeks ago, Brad Angelo captured his first career title. And remember, last season here in this very building, he finished second.
Your number 2 seed is Ken Simard, the hard-throwing South Carolina native, eyes his first title. He comes in on a tear, rolled 2 300 games this week.
But in order for Kenny to win, he's got to get past the Big Nasty, who in my opinion is overdue to win title number 4. He's made 3 out of 6 telecasts, and he's your number 1 seed today, needing only 1 win to capture this title.
This is his 3rd televised appearances in just 6 shows this season. He is up for Player of the Year honors. Yes, it's early. And speaking of Player of the Year, how about on the women's side, Michelle Feldman. This will be her 3rd straight finals TV appearance. She is the dominant woman in bowling today, and we'll conclude our broadcast with the women's title match. But we begin with the men's CLR Carmen Salvino Scorpion Championship. Take a look at the stepladder. We begin with Jason Couch taking on Brad Angelo. And Brad Angelo will go first, the native of Lockport, New York. This is his 7th year on the tour, won his first career title earlier this season in Omaha, the Pepsi Viper Championship. Prior to winning that title, he was 0-4 in title matches and was winless in 118 events.
Rob, I thought that Brad Angelo was masterful in Omaha, the way he managed his game on a very difficult oil pattern to come away with his first title.
And now Jason Couch, the lefty from Claremont, Florida, his 16th year on the tour. Again, took a medical exemption last season due to a knee injury. Strong starts for both. Couch, 15 Lumber Liquidator PBA Tour titles, including 4 majors. He was tied for 7th on the major list with 6 others.
Come on, we'll give him.
Jason's wife, Kim, in attendance. So a double shot for Jason to start us off. When Angelo steps up.
The biggest thing that Jason Couch has going for him is his confidence, and I think that's what you need to get through the knee surgery that he's trying to make his way back from.
Well, confidence is Brad Angelo's game right now as well, particularly coming off that win in Omaha earlier in the season. his first challenge of the afternoon.
Well, normally when you leave the 4-6-7, there's not much of a challenge unless you get real lucky and bounce a pin out. You pretty much write this off as an open frame.
An open frame it is for Angelo. Jason Couch, the 4 seed, taking on Brad Angelo, the 3 seed, as we take a look at the big picture of match number 1.
And I think what's amazing is you look at Jason Couch's match play record. He had a losing record, still made the telecast. The last 9 games of match play, he averaged over 250 and only won 4 of the 9 matches.
Angelo having to do some figuring out here right now.
Well, you know, this week the players, I think the majority of the time played in. There was a little bit of a look to the outside part of the lane, and talking with Wes Malott shortly after the practice session, he said, you know, Randy, the lanes are they're a little drier on the inside part of the lane than they've been all week. So we may have to look for another place to go. And that outside line that Brad Angelo is playing is another option.
So Jason Couch steps up, had surgery on his right knee, which is his slide leg. He initially went in for just a minor meniscus repair, but they found a stress fracture in the femur. They did surgery on the knee and then really had to just wait out that fracture. Essentially, it's the same injury that Tiger Woods is dealing with right now. And he said, how do I feel? I feel about as good as I'm going to get, period. 3 in a row for Couch, and he is bouncing back from the challenges of missing last season.
I think just missing the adrenaline, making the show, you know, basically doing my job. Out here every week, you've got to perform, and it was just kind of brutal, 17 straight years out here, and then I'm not out for a year. It was tough.
And I can certainly relate with what Jason had to go through and what he's dealing with now. When I had my knee surgery back in '91, I missed an entire year, and it was a long road back. And, you know, one thing about after surgery, you're never 100%.
Telling himself to calm down, way outside left on that one.
Yeah, but it's a nice break, and only leaving the 9-pin. As you take a look at the man that's won 15 times out here, he has less knee bend than he used to have, so that gives him a little bit less leverage. And he says it's a little harder on his knee when he's going straight or straighter like he's doing today. But man, can he bring it. Probably best known for winning 3 consecutive Tournament of Champion titles.
Boxing yesterday about that right knee, and he said, you know, on the left side of my right knee, Rob, essentially it's bone on bone. The pain is tolerable with some ibuprofen, and it's going to be with him every day. Brad Angelo started with a strike, then went open frame and a spare in the 3rd. Gets back on the strike train.
When you look at some of the names that Brad Angelo had to beat for his first title just a couple of weeks ago, he had to get by Walter Ray Williams Jr. and Wes Malott. 12-6 match play record, and lost in position round to Kenny Simard, 246 to 300. 300s are usually tough to beat.
I've heard that. He actually won here in Vernon Hills in 2007. It was on the shark pattern late November. I'm sorry, that was his last televised appearance prior to Omaha. So after some difficulties in frames 2 and 3, Angelo appears to have figured things out with strikes in frame 4 and 5. He sits down. Jason Couch asks for a re-rack. Couch started with 3 straight strikes and then finished with a spare. And bowling fans, you can now take the PBA with you wherever you go, courtesy of PBA Bowling for your cell phone or PBA. Take on PBA pros in head-to-head competition or try the spare challenge or tournament modes. Some phones I don't know if you knew this, Randy, even offered Nintendo Wii. You're the video game guy. Wii, thank you. We like throwing motions. It helps when I read the promo copy ahead of time. All right, let's make some history.
Another re-rack.
And that's an awful break because that ball should have struck, and instead of just leaving, say, the 7-pin or a blower 10, he's left both. This has only been made 3 times in the history of television.
Shot.
Slams the 7, leaves the 10. His first open frame of this match. So both Angelo and Couch with open frames. And we move on to the 6th.
Come on, make a good shot.
This Jason's 52nd singles televised appearance in his 16-year career on the tour. Come on, yeah. A little love from the messenger. Drops the 7 and fires up the crowd and himself. Jason Couch back in it. And when we return, why Brad Angelo needed the number of his car insurer this week. Did you hear about this?
I heard something like that.
That's good. The Lumber Welcome back to ESPN's continuing live coverage of the CLR Carmen Salvino Scorpion Championship. Rob Stone, Randy Peterson with you on this Sunday. And time to take a look at this week's oil pattern. The Lumber Liquidators know the wood. They're rolling on the Scorpion, Randy.
Yes, Rob, 42 feet in length, and this week this center had a very predominant track area, a lot of friction there. As you can see, Brad Angelo is trying to play the outside part, getting right of that. Look for the big crankers, Kenny Simard, Wes Malott. They're going to move in, and as the lanes transition, they're just going to keep moving farther and farther left.
Once again, we want to remind you, no scorpions were harmed in the making of this oil pattern.
Right you are, my friend.
Excellent for English, by the way, a little bit earlier.
Well, thanks.
The farther, further debate, you nailed it.
Well, thanks to Bill Vent.
It's always important to have support. So here's Brad Angelo, was in a deep hole through 3 frames. Jason Couch had a chance to really stomp on his throat. But Couch went spare, open frame 4th, 5th, and now it's just 8 pins separating the 2.
And with a strike here, Brad Angelo can take the lead.
Strike he does. So a 3-bagger for Angelo gives him the lead. And now we begin the 7th.
Brad's going to take a re-rack here, and it's just amazing that, I don't know if you would call it a metamorphosis that has taken place with Brad Angelo from strictly a mental standpoint. Where he is now mentally when he performs in the championship rounds or the championship match on television as opposed to what used to happen to him. He just looks like a different guy when he's on TV.
He says he put all those past defeats behind him. He's all right with it. He's come to a resolution with it, and whatever happens, happens now on TV. No more worrying about it, no more stressful, sleepless nights. It's just get out, bowl, and enjoy yourself.
Go ahead, Rob.
4-bagger for Brad Angelo.
That a boy. You know that song they're playing?
Help me out with it.
I can't.
How did it go?
I'm sorry, I can't go there.
You're allowed. I haven't trademarked anything. Leaves the 7.
Boy, he's making real good shots, too. He had that horrible break in the 5th frame where he left the pocket 7-10, comes back with a strike, and this looks pretty good here as well. Only to leave a soft 7. Jason Couch needs to start stringing some strikes to get back into this match.
Yeah, that 4-pin tantalizingly close to dropping the 7.
A win, lose, or draw for Jason Couch, so he's going to take away from this tournament the fact that he knows that he can still compete at this level, he'll have to, like we said earlier, bowl through pain from time to time. His knee will probably never be 100%, but he's so talented. I'm not so sure he can't beat people out here with a knee that's, say, 80 or 90%.
He described this season to me yesterday as awful. Called his coach, Mark Baker, a couple weeks ago, and they talked about his swing, saying it was a little bit too steep, and told us, you know, I got to make my feet stay quick enough to accommodate my swing today. Are his feet working properly?
Well, yeah, and I think they are. I mean, he's just a little fast at times with his ball speed. But the point of that is to keep Jason Couch in time. If his feet slow down, the ball's going to get to the bottom of the swing or to the release point too soon. By keeping his feet moving, he guarantees himself to stay ahead of the swing, and that's what basically allows him to apply hit and power to the bowling ball.
Here's Brad Angelo up 14. Here's his effort in the 8th. He had a challenging Tuesday in the greater Chicago area. We'll tell you about that in a second.
Oh! Yahtzee! 5 in a row for Angelo, starting to pull away.
Yeah, and what a time to trip the 4-pin when you're working on 4 in a row and looking to really increase your lead. Trip 4 is a right-hander's best friend and a left-hander's worst enemy.
Angelo drove into Chicago on Tuesday. Stopped by at a friend's house, had dinner, came back downstairs to his car, broken into. Everything swiped but his pants and his bowling shirts. Took all his suitcases, shattered the back passenger window, had it fixed the next day. I don't know what that was an omen for or not. Next week, the Cheetah Championship in Cheektowaga. Live coverage here on ESPN. Angelo starting the foundation frame up 2-4. 5 in a row. And now he leaves the 4-7.
And this ball drifts just a pinch high, and what this does is it now gives Jason Couch a glimmer of hope. Jason Couch can strike out to shoot 224. Brad Angelo with a spare here. Strike spare in the 10th for 226. Jason Couch getting up in the 9th and 10th frame. Rob knows that to have any chance at all, he must strike out.
And that attitude is just fine with Jason Couch. I asked him the style, and this is his quote. Bro, bowling balls to the wall, full force, 110%, home run hitter, all or nothing. I'm not sure I could get any more cliches in there. My pen ran out of ink. But he does not mind stepping up in these situations and chucking it with venom. There's one down. He knew it as soon as he released it.
And Rob, you're right. You know, some players, they shy away from having to get up in the 10th frame and throw strikes to win. Jason Couch is certainly not one of those players. He relishes getting up and having to strike out to win tournaments, win matches. This guy is really good. We've seen him in the 10th frame, the 9th and 10th frame on numerous occasions, rise to the occasion and throw nothing but strikes.
Looked like he might have had a little balance issue there at the end, and he fought through it.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. It looked like he got a little forward on that shot. And again, the stability being an issue with his right knee surgery. It's just not, the balance point isn't quite as there like it used to be. And watch the lack of flexibility, almost straight up and down. And look how close he came to fouling.
Time that lane bails.
Well, that was just an errant shot. You see how wide it was. Watch this right at the arrows, and at about 30 feet down the lane, it gets out to the 1.5 board, and that's just a little bit too far left for Jason Couch. That's why he came up light. Brad Angelo 9 on the first shot. He's going to be a winner.
.212 for Jason Couch.
All he needs is good count. Doesn't even need a mark. A split, a big split here would be disastrous for Brad Angelo.
And again, he had an open frame in the second. No such thing there. Angelo gets the necessary 9. And he will move on to take on the number 2 seed, Ken Simard.
Yeah, and even if you would have left the 4-9 there, he'd have just needed 1 pin, and he would have still got past Jason Couch. So he will move on and take a shot at one of the most powerful right-handers on tour in Ken Simard.
You're going to have fun watching Ken Simard bowl. He has probably the widest grips on the tour. If that, am I describing that correctly?
Well, his span,
yeah,
he's got a giant hand. I mean, it looks like a mitt. And he's got almost a 5.5-inch span.
I threw Wes Malott's ball today, just for kicks and giggles. And my hand was stretching just to get in there. And he's like, hey, try Simard's. I'm like, really? You know, come on, it's the Big Nasty's ball. How much bigger can it be? Whoa, boy. Well, I think I was holding on my fingernails.
Yeah.
He put his hand up to mine, and where my tips of my fingers were, his knuckles were bending over. I mean, man.
Good week, Jason. Thanks.
So, Brad Angelo, 225 to 212. He wins it. Still to come. Our top 50 countdown continues, and soon to be Hall of Famer, that man, Norm Duke, joins us live. And we welcome you back to Vernon Hills and the CLR Carmen Salvino Scorpion Championship. Carmen, a longtime resident of Chicago. We're going to talk about him as we continue our top 50 countdown timeline. We begin this week at number 20, Dave Sutar, the greatest player to ever come out of Detroit and the only player to win the USBC Masters and the Senior Master, and one of 3 to win in 5 decades.
And at number 19, Dave Davis, the classic style smooth stroking southpaw, captured the 1965 PBA National Championship for the first of his 4 majors.
The underrated Wayne Webb, the 1980 Player of the Year, won the Senior U.S. Open this season and went on to win Rookie of the Year honors as well on the Senior Tour.
17, Carmen Salvino, the charter member and one of the great faces of the PBA Tour. And I had the honor of winning a doubles tournament with him back in 1988 in Cheektowaga, New York.
Johnny Petraglia, the only player to win 3 tournaments in a row on television, and he beat nothing but Hall of Famers along the way during that run.
And Nelson Burton Jr., Bo Burton, the voice of the PBA Tour on ABC television for over 25 years. He was Player of the Year in 1970 and became a Hall of Famer in '79.
We gave Bo his due earlier in the season. Now Bo waxes poetic on Johnny Petraglia.
14-time champion Johnny Petraglia has the number 16 spot in our countdown. The Hall of Famer earned his first title at age 19 and would go on to become one of only 5 players to complete bowling's triple crown of the U.S. Open, the PBA National Championship, and the Tournament of Champions. Perhaps his most memorable moment came at the 1994 PBA National Championship when he earned a $100,000 bonus for bowling a televised perfect game.
And just a reminder that we will reveal the number 1 player in the PBA's 50 Greatest Countdown during the live telecast of the H&R Block Tournament of Champions. That will come your way January 25th from Las Vegas. Norm Duke will also be looking for an unprecedented 4th consecutive major victory in that event. That will come your way from the Red Rock Lanes in Las Vegas. Updated look at today's bracket. Brad Angelo, the 3 seed, moving on to take on the young fire thriller from South Carolina, Kenny Samar. Norm Duke joining us live in the booth for this segment. We have so much to discuss with you, including his attire. He is just flat out showing up, Randy and I. And Angelo, who started with a strike in match 1, leaves the 10-pin.
Yeah, and he also started the previous match about 10 or 15 boards to the right of where he just threw that one. Norm, what do you see?
Well, I saw that he was about 35 pins down after 3 frames last match and came back to win. So, you know, with Brad, it's all about the end score, not the front score.
Spoken like a true Hall of Famer or a Hall of Famer to be. Just this week, it was announced that Norm Duke will be inducted into the PBA Hall of Fame. All of that going on in that great weekend in Las Vegas. What does that honor mean to you in your career?
Well, you know, the PBA, excuse me, the Hall of Fame is what links together all the athletes from every era. And to be alongside those athletes, you know, you're at that point a part of the PBA story.
Messenger gets the 10 for Simard. And going for 4 in a row, 4 consecutive majors. I know we're talking about an event in late January, and here we are, we're not even in December yet, but has that played on your mind at any point?
Well, it has, because I've just been looking forward to it, you know. You're talking about, you know, a quest for 4 in a row, one, and then the Hall of Fame is the add-on. All my family will be there. I just cannot wait for the event. Stoked.
You know, let Randy Peterson talk during that ceremony?
Well, I can say
open mics with Randy are dangerous.
Come on, hang on, let's watch this shot real quick.
Back-to-back strikes for Samar.
Kenny displays some sick power. Norm, first off, congratulations. It's long overdue. You being inducted in the Hall of Fame. I'm obviously very happy for Del Ballard Jr. as well, and John Handegard. I feel bad for Doug Kent. Doug Kent certainly has the numbers to qualify, but I don't think he'll be overlooked anytime soon. So congratulations. Again, it's been long overdue.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Angelo with a strike. And here are the look at the 3 inductees. Norm, 30 career PBA Tour titles, 6 majors. Del Ballard Jr., 13 career Tour titles, 4 majors. And John Handegard, this marks the first player to be inducted into the PBA Senior Hall of Fame. He is the Senior Tour's all-time titleist with 14 career PBA Senior Tour titles.
Yeah, and I grew up with Del Ballard, you know, back in Dallas-Fort Worth and late 70s even. And, boy, to be going in with him, it's truly a great honor. And I just can't look forward to it enough as we watch Brad Angelo.
Sure, one shot from in, left the flat 10 and immediately moved back to the outside part of the lane where he won his first match. Let's not overlook John Handegard, who's going in on the senior category. John Handegard won a regular PBA event at the age of 57 in Kennewick, Washington.
Yeah, he beat me on his way to the title match.
Well, I didn't want to bring that up, Norm.
You never do.
You guys have great memories, I've learned, of people who beat you and people you've beaten in the world of bowling. Randy can tell me any lane, any center where he knocks somebody out.
That's just some sick, nasty power there, Norm. And, you know, I think the one thing we have to touch on is that Kenny Simard said that he actually went to you for some advice about his push away. Tell us about it.
Well, we crossed next to one another last week. Kenny and I are great friends, and I just told him, you know, his push away is a little bit too far to the right for what he's trying to do, which is get the ball to really apex down lane as far right as he can. And now that he's got that push away inside, everything is feeding there. He's got such a big hand, they all come back.
Now, did you change his grip around at all or give him some thoughts on that?
No, I didn't do much of anything. I just told him his swing needs to be a little bit farther in right there.
Ham bowling for Samar. He bowled 2 300 games this week and a 299 as well.
He had the front 9 in a row 7 times this week, including the last 3 games of the tournament.
Wow. Guys dialed in. Well, you said, you know, this was one of the first things he told us, Norm, was he went right to the story. You know, I spent 30 minutes with Norm Duke a couple weeks ago in Detroit, changed my grip, the swing, working on this. I mean, you could see and sense the smile over the phone.
Dang.
That
spot.
Yeah, Brad's still fighting that right lane. You know, it was hooking a little earlier. I think he moved his feet inside a little bit, tried to get the ball out to where that dry is. It overhooked in through the nose. Big split. Bad time.
Can I just make a point that folks watching at home, they see Kenny Simard playing the deep inside line. They see Brad Angelo playing out or farther right. And they're probably wondering, well, why isn't Brad playing the same line that Kenny Simard's playing? And the answer is simple. More power in Kenny Simard's hand to knock down that corner pin. Not as much power in Brad's. He left that 1 weak 10, Norm. He said, forget it, I'm going back to the right.
It scared him away, as it did most of us. Every time we moved in the course of the week, we had problems with the flat 10. Let's see if Brad's able to make the adjustment. And, you know, he's deciding to go with more speed, get the ball to lay down in the pocket. It's just not laying down for him. And part of that might be because of Ken Simard's track going down the lane from farther inside of Brad.
Does the fact psychologically that Simard has thrown 4 strikes in 4 frames do anything to alter Angelo's game at this point?
Yeah, it puts a sense of urgency on the matter, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I don't want to say panic. It's a little early for that. But it's certainly not a good sign when you've got one match under your belt. You move on to the next match, and this guy starts with 4 in a row, and he's just making the lanes look simple, not to mention the fact that when his ball hits the pocket, it looks like it can knock down 20 pins.
I said one of the problems he had this week was he was actually a little overconfident.
Yahtzee for Samar. 5 frames, 5 strikes.
Yahtzee? Yahtzee, you haven't heard that? Or do you ever watch my telecast?
Never got a 5-bagger. I haven't heard Yahtzee.
A 5 who, water?
Rob, Norm, can I just interject here for a minute?
Please do.
One of Kenny Simard's 300 games came in the last game, the position round game, against Brad Angelo.
And it moved him up from the 4 spot to the number 2 seed.
And adds to the sense of urgency.
And look at him just kind of claw that big giant mitt into that bowling ball.
He makes that bowling ball look like a marble.
Six-pack to start it off for Kenny Simard. And we want to thank Norm Duke for his time, and congratulations again from all of us for the soon-to-be Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. We've been pushing for it all season. I'm glad somebody's listening to us.
Well, thanks for having me. I sure enjoy it always.
Always good to see you, Norm.
Randy, time. Ken Simard, his pursuit of a perfect televised game is still game. We welcome you back to the CLR Carmen Salvino Scorpion Championship, coming your way from Brunswick Zone Hawthorn in Vernon Hills, Illinois. Rob Stone, Randy Peterson with you, and our thanks to Rick Edmonds, the CFO of Gelmar, the parent company of CLR, for his work and continued involvement with the PBA. And Rick has a great seat for a wonderful storyline that's developing with Kenny Simard as we take a look at our Denny's PBA Player of the Year points list. No one pulling away right now. This is a loaded field. Very early, I understand that, but still. And look at Bill O'Neill up there, tied for second with 20 points. Brad Angelo to step up here in the 6th. He is in a hole that is starting to hit water and eyeing China. Down 55 because Kenny Simard has been perfect.
Yeah, he needs to start doing a whole lot of that because Kenny Simard is running away and hiding with this match. Brad Angelo just in the 190s. Kenny Simard's in the 240s with the front 6. And you can bet Wes Malott is somewhere nearby watching where these two are attacking this oil pattern.
Well, he was right behind us in match 1, watching all of our views of the lanes and in the way we see it from this angle, which is certainly different than the way Angelo's eyeballing it right now. We're at the end of the lane.
And right now what's happening with Brad Angelo's ball reaction is he is too close to the friction area that Kenny Simard is using. So if he misses just a little bit inside of target, it hits that friction area and it's going to go high every time. So
he picks up the spare. You see on the bottom of the screen the scroll of the other finishers this week here in Chicago. Jason Belmonte, the Australian, finished 29th. He bowling this week on a commissioner's exemption. Also will be in Buffalo next week on that exemption. There's been some discussions in the locker room amongst the players. We'll talk about that in a second. Here's Simard looking for 7 straight strikes.
Slaps down 7.
Well, an unprecedented move getting back to Jason Belmonte, receiving 2 commissioner's exemptions. And there he is right there, the two-handed phenom from Australia. But you know what? I think that in order for this to become truly a world-class organization to put on tournaments that really involve the world's greatest, you need to get more international flavor. Guys like Jason Belmonte, Osku Palermo from Finland, Dominic Barrett from England, Remy Ong from Singapore. These players need to be here on a weekly basis.
8 is not enough for Samar. Flaunt it. Get up, son! Even Angelo is aware of what's going on. 8 frames, 8 strikes. It's only happened 18 times in PBA history. 300 games
on television. Yeah, get some more energy, Ken, because you don't have enough.
And Angelo waving the white flag.
Well, you want history? We may be loaded with history in this case.
This has only been made once on television by Walter A. Williams Jr., the Big Four.
Look at the smile on Angelo. He's bowling as quickly as he can right now.
Well, that's the thing. That's the right thing to do, is get out of the way. Get up, throw shots, get out of the way so that Kenny Simard has a chance to become the 19th player in PBA history to bowl 300 on television.
Those pins are barely re-wrapping. Angelo's up there thrown away. And you know, this is good. Get a strike, so let's get the story back up here. No offense, Brad. You've had a wonderful season. But Ken Simard is the real deal right now. He bowled 2 300 games this week already. 8 frames, 8 strikes. He is 4 strikes away from perfection on television.
Kenny Simard is about the most likable guy you'll ever meet out on the Lumber Liquidators PBA Tour. Who can forget last season when he had a chance to beat Barnes in Columbus, only to finish second? Here he has a chance for perfection.
This place is as quiet as my house when we're trying to put the Twins down. You cannot hear anything.
Still alive! 2 more!
Just stay focused. Don't grab it at the bottom of the swing and throw 2 more just like you just threw there. And Kenny Simard will bowl a 300 game.
It has only happened 18 times on television. The last to do it, Ryan Schaefer, March 18th of '07 in Indianapolis.
Vernon Hills, stand up.
Rob, I'm not so sure that's a bad thing. Yeah, he doesn't get the $10,000 bonus from the PBA for shooting 300, but think about what his emotions would be like trying to win his first ever career title coming off a 300 game. The only player that I can remember ever doing it was Tony Reyes back in 2006. He bowled 300 and then went on to win his very first title, but it's really hard to get your emotions in check after bowling 300 on television.
Keep it up, all right? Thank you. Finish it off.
What a performance. 289 for Simard, and he will move on to the title match versus Wes Malott.
That was crazy. Yeah.
Another nice week for Brad Angelo, who just a few weeks ago captured his first ever career title to get himself into the Tournament of Champions in January. Kenny Simard looking to do the exact same thing.
Strong season so far for Angelo. 6 events, 4 of them top 10 finishes, including this week and the title in Omaha at the Pepsi Bifrost Championship.
Wow. Change it more.
Angelo concludes with the 4-bagger. In match number 2, that is 199. Well shot of Ken Simard's 289. 10 straight strikes.
Holy shit, dude.
Enough for the win. Not enough for 300. Wes Malott up next. Our title match waiting in the wings. Pins are shaking at the knees. Great sporting tradition in Chicago. It was a different restaurant in downtown. The Lumber Liquidators PBA Tour on the road next week, just outside of Buffalo in Cheektowaga. Again, live coverage on ESPN a week from today, December 7th at 1 Eastern. And after that, our final stop in 2008. AMF Country Club Lanes in Baltimore, Maryland. Again, Sunday, December 14th, 1 Eastern on ESPN. Time now for our Geico Championship recap. Randall?
Okay, Rob, we're close to Chicago. You know, I like to do Harry. Brad Angelo wins the first match, taking down Jason Couch by the score of 225 to 212. And in the next match, Brad runs into a buzzsaw by the name of Kenny Simard. Kenny using the big paw to knock down the front 10 and shoot 289 to advance to the title match against the big nasty Wes Malott.
You enjoyed that, don't you?
I did. Thank you, Rob.
You're good at those Geico Championship recaps.
It's what I do.
There's the big nasty Wes Malott, set to take on Ken Simard, the men's final. And Carmen Salvino joins us live when we return. This the 7th consecutive season that Brunswick Zone Hawthorn has hosted the PBA, the 3rd longest streak of current host centers, one of the most loyal stops on the tour. Rob Stone, Randy Peterson, glad you're spending part of your Sunday with us, taking a break from all that holiday shopping. Legend Carmen Salvino, this tournament is named after, will join us in a moment. Ken Simard, the 289 in the last game, steps up first in the men's title match. That's about what we've come to expect from this man. And in this tournament, the CLR Carmen Salvino Scorpion Championship, we're honored to be joined by Carmen Salvino. And Carmen, you had a wonderful view of Kenny Simard's game. What were your impressions and your thoughts?
Just power.
Yeah.
And Wes Malott, this looks like you're watching the Land of the Giants Bowl.
Both start with strikes. Now, when you were taking on somebody who was coming in off a real hot game, what was your mentality? What was your approach?
The first thing I do is give him a dirty look.
Right, give one to Randy right now. Give me one of those. What does one of those dirty looks look like? There you go.
Boy, I'll put the mean eyes on him.
Right? Give him a little stink eye.
You had your fun, kid. The man's here.
I love that. Wes Malott from Argyle, Texas. 7th year on the tour. Back-to-back jacks for the big nasty.
And Wes Malott can kind of match Kenny Simard's power. I mean, his rev rate isn't as high, but Carmen, he can get in there and he can really bang on it and obviously play the same part of the lane that Kenny Simard's playing.
He could help burn out that lane a little bit and maybe give, Kenny some problems, because if Kenny's already on the rack, how much further is he going to go left?
Already standing in front of the bar, return on the right lane. Hey, Carmen, that's a brilliant point, because now that he's standing in front of the bar return, his entire approach changes on the right lane. And now the 5-step approach, or that 5.5-step approach, just became 3 steps.
And you don't have the power with 3 steps that you do with 5.
Yeah, and don't you think it's harder to generate the same amount of ball speed?
Absolutely. See, what happens when you have 5 steps, you get some power out of the body. When you only have 3 steps, you have to make up that power with the arm, and you start pulling the ball through, and that's exactly what happened.
That's a great point.
Ken Simard jumped off to a huge advantage in essentially his semifinal match, the Stepladder final, and now he finds himself in a 26-pin hole. And Carmen, you were born in the southwest side of Chicago. After Ken rolls, I want your best Chicago area bowling story that you have for me.
Okay.
It's got to be clean, though.
Of course.
Oh, you have plenty of those, right?
Of course.
We're back on the strike train with Simard after that open frame in the second.
Well, when I was bowling, when I was 19 years old, I was bowling with a man named Joe Willman that was 41 years old. We bowled for the doubles championship of the world against Don Carter and Freddie Bujak. And I'm sitting on the bench, and I'm thinking to myself, I hope this old guy don't die on me. And all of a sudden, I got to be 54 on the tour, and the kid asked me what my age was. And then I start thinking, if he's thinking what I'm thinking, I'm going to punch this kid out.
You got to give him the stink eye, let him know who's the boss.
What goes around comes around. That's what I found out in a hurry. You last long enough, everything happens to you.
That's right, and everything comes back in style, too.
Nice.
I had Randy for a doubles partner once, too.
Good Lord, my apologies. How'd that go?
Oh, I picked him up, straightened out his back. He never paid me yet. I gave him a chiropractic little adjustment.
Have your shoulders recovered from carrying him? Literally and figuratively?
Right now, I don't know if I can pick him up. Oh. I'm a little older. He's just about a pound or 2 heavier.
Wow, can I get a fire extinguisher maybe to put the flames out with? You guys are all over me. And by the way, just so you know, Rob, Carmen and I won that tournament.
Yes, we did.
I don't doubt that, because you had the proper partner, Randy.
Well, it's all about picking the right partner, kid.
So Wes Malott, strike, strike, spare, and we begin the 4th tightly contested men's championship here.
Oh, no. Whoa. That's a balk. But there's no penalty like there is in baseball. We got to find a penalty for that.
Oh, there's a cash penalty, sir.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
There's a cash penalty. $100 for the first one and $500 for everyone after that.
Ooh.
Sean Rash paid a healthy fine.
I think he's got the record.
Yeah, it was $1,600, I think.
All right, come on.
I want to tell you something, Robin, my doubles partner here. Last night I went to a restaurant, and I had the good fortune to sit next to a table that had all Vietnam veterans, and they're watching us today. I just want to thank them for their service, and all our guys out there. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have a peaceful country. So God bless you guys. Norman, take care of the guys, buddy.
I'm with you completely on that one. Carmen Salvino, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate your time. Always a pleasure to see you, my friend. Thank you very much.
Keep the sport interesting.
We're trying, my friend. We're trying. When we return, the conclusion of the men's title, the CLR Carmen Salvino Championship. 300 games were rolled this week at the Brunswick Zone Hawthorn. We almost saw number 11 in our last match. Ken Simard coming oh so close. Simard, though, in a hole here in the title match versus Wes Malott, down 23 as he's set to begin his 4th frame. Tomorrow night, an AFC South showdown in Houston. 2 young running backs, Maurice Jones-Drew, Jags, and Steve Slayton with the Texans. Battle 8:30 live on ESPN. Coverage begins 7 Eastern with Monday Night Countdown delivered by UPS. And it's great to have Carmen Salvino here in the booth. It's time for you and I to really kind of focus back on to the bowling. And Ken Simard steps up in the 4th. Significant deficit he is facing, but it's very early. Curls in and not going to get the strike here.
And Kenny's going to keep inching farther and farther left to try to get his ball to straighten out a little bit and not drift quite as high. But look at the adjustment he has to make in his form. It's just, again, it takes ability. Obviously, it's something that Kenny does quite often because his rev rate is so high, his bowling ball hooks a lot.
He had 10 opening strikes in his match versus Brad Angelo that he won 289, 199.
Rob, right now the big thing that sticks out early on is the second frame when Ken Simard left the split. But he also missed all 3 pins, which takes his count and basically loses 4 pins. If he would have gotten 9 out, he would have had 19 in the first, 28 in the second, which would have kept him even, or it would have put him 1 pin up in count against Malott. But losing 4 pins like that due to a split could come back to haunt him.
There's a strike for Samar, who had an auspicious arrival in Chicago. Driving up here, he was next to a transfer truck. He had a truck in front of him and like one of those F-50s, and then a car behind that, and then his car, and out of nowhere, car swerves. Something comes flying up out of nowhere, shattering the right side of his windshield. And he still hasn't had it fixed yet. One of those moments where, you know what, maybe I need to slow down, and I'm just happy to be alive and happy to bowl, and they've calmed him down this week. Far left, the feet of Wes Malott as he drops all 10.
And Wes Malott can drift around that ball return where Kenny's kind of standing in front of it. Remember, Wes Malott won here just 2 years ago. He said he's bowling his best this week, says his timing feels great.
Captured his 2nd career title here in Vernon Hills. As we take a look at the Flomax weekly update, focusing in on Wes Malott.
And Wes has made the telecast in all 3 of the named championship patterns: Viper, Chameleon, and now Scorpion.
Leaves the 10, but he is 0-2 on television this season.
When he really liked that shot out of his hand, when you yell "be right," that's usually a good sound, and you could see the weak 10 left because of the amount of friction that's being created. That ball just lost energy by the time it got to the 1-3 pocket.
Has the 4th best average of the season on the tour, 221.88. 3 times in match play this week, he bowled a 279.
Well, if you look at his last 9 games of match play in this tournament, 279, 261, 222, 279, 269, 279, 237, 195.
Where did that come from?
And 269. It's just sick numbers.
Simard in the 6th, down 23. Has only 3 strikes in this match. Trying to pair them together for the first time, and he does. So consecutive jacks for Simard. And I want to remind you, after this match, will be the Women's Series title match presented by the USBC. Michelle Feldman, who has become the Tiger Woods of female bowling this season, has just run through everybody, taking on Missy Bellander.
You could have said Lorena Ochoa or something.
That's true.
Just thought I'd throw that.
Not Michelle Wee.
Not Michelle Wee, right. Because Michelle Feldman actually wins.
Correct.
Check out the big giant mitt that he just crammed into this 16-pound bowling ball. Look out, pins.
He is having issues stringing the strikes together here in the finals.
Boy, and this is a big shot, Rob, because this gets him right back into the match. He doesn't anticipate that lane is going to hook quite this much. Now, the next time on the left lane, Kenny Simard will take a giant step to the left. You may even see a little bit of what happened last season with Robert Smith. You may even start to see some lofting over the gutter cap.
So a spare in the 7th for Simard. Malott steps up. Wes has won 1 title in each of the last 3 seasons. And as we said, he won here and on this same oil pattern in the 06-07 season. He's been kind of stuck on that 1 win per season deal. You get the sense if he can make it to 2, that 3, 4, and 5, not far behind. Yeah, baby! 4th strike of the match.
It added a little loft to that shot, Rob, and what that does is it helps the lay hook. and helps the bowling ball retain a little bit more energy. And watch this ball face the pocket. And watch a little air time right here. A little bit further out on the lane. He can do it all, and he's proved his versatility by making multiple shows on different types of oil patterns. He can play in, he can play out. Right there, just a little more loft, and that's dead flush perfect.
Both of our finalists with 4 strikes here in the title match. We begin the 8th. Malott working on a strike.
And that's a really good shot with not a very good result, leaving the stone 9 on a strike when he could really put some serious heat on Kenny Simard. Watch this. The bowling ball is going to go right by the 9-pin. He's playing almost 6 there on the left. Ball goes right by it.
Simard has given Malott plenty of opportunities to close this one out, and Wes has not capitalized. Well, Simard spent the last match in front from the get-go, pulled away. It was hardly a match after about 5-6 frames. This time, he's playing come-from-behind bowling.
Yeah, that's the one thing you don't want to do is give yourself or give your opponent enough opportunities. You let him hang around long enough, sooner or later, they'll find a way to beat you.
Off a spare in the 7th. Here he is in the 8th, Ken Simard.
He got away with that one.
And you're right. And he got a huge break. And again, you let your opponent hang around long enough. And sometimes this kind of stuff happens as you see that abbreviated approach. He says, oh, no, when he lets go of this. And then after that, he says, oh, yeah.
The native of Greenville, South Carolina, has never won a Lumber Liquidators PBA Tour title. 73 events bowled without a title, 7th longest streak among current exempt players.
Drops them all in the 9th.
That's the momentum he needed.
Yeah, and I think that strike right there is big trouble for Wes Malott. Now, keep in mind, no matter what Kenny Simard does in the 10th frame, he can't shut out Wes. But he knows that if he gets this hit here, he's in. Wes Malott could strike out to shoot 227, but he must strike in the 9th frame. And he knows strike here.
Big time ball from Malott.
Come on, one more.
And that's huge. You know, if you look back at the solid 9 that he just left on the left lane, you know, this match would be all but over. Right now, Wes Malott, 2 strikes in the 10th frame and good count. 7, 2 and 7. Wes Malott wins title number 4. Only 1 strike on this left lane throughout this entire match, and he chose to finish the match on the left lane.
5 strikes total.
Yes, sir.
Great shot there, Rob. Great shot.
Told us this is the best he has bowled all season by far. Not the best of his career. That would be 2 years ago when he led the U.S. Open. They say he's making smart guesses, making intelligent ball choices. Again, he's been dealing with equipment changes for the last couple of years, and again this season, you get the sense it's all starting to come together for the Big Nasty. A strike and 7 for the title.
Reminiscent of the ringing 10-pin that he left last season against Michael Haugen Jr. in Hammond. Michael Haugen Jr. got up and beat him. Kenny Simard has that opportunity now. Another great shot, a solid 9 and a ring and 10, both on the left lane. Could be the demise of Wes Malott today. And again, Rob, that's why we talk about him being overdue. He's just made great quality shots. He's bowled very well. Doesn't have a lot to show for it. Doesn't have a lot of breaks to show for it. Kenny Simard right now, 2 strikes in the 10th frame. He's going to win his first ever title and knock Tita Semez out of the Tournament of Champions. Remember that trip 4? How about the tomahawk 10 now? Wes Malott can't believe his eyes, and he is not going to look at this next shot. Watch this huge break. 6-spin, goes to the sidewall, leans on the 10. Get down! That's a 3-bagger. One more, Kenny Simard will win his first career title.
Needs a strike and a 4. The strike is the hard part. I could get out there and throw the 4. So this essentially for his first career title.
Are you kidding me?
Turnabout is fair play. Kenny Simard wrenched on that shot, got it to go high flush. He leaves the ring in 10. Wes Malott is your champion for the 4th time. Watch this wicked, wicked ring in 10 pin. Wes Malott wins sitting on the bench.
Ken did not care about that one at all. I mean, what a wonderful show Kenny Samar put on in the last match. Fought his way back into this, had the opportunity, and it's not like Wes Malott backed into this win, people.
He had to earn it. Kenny Simard, what a great day. Gave Wes Malott all he wanted. Wes certainly bowled a great game. Came down to 1 shot.
Thank you.
He thought he had lost it. He thought he had given it away. But Malott has now won 1 title in each of the last 4 seasons. Is this the start of a Player of the Year campaign for Wes Malott? We'll hear from him in the women's final when we return.